Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
What are we going to do about emoji-shaped floor pillows, especially the poop emoji? This is out of control.
And Brandon Schultz.
Seahawks fans should not call that a Fail Mary game. We won. How is that a fail?
Go Hawks!
On a quest to own the West, yippee-ki-yay, we make the ground shake. On game day, 12 man, yeah, he's feeling it, he's vital.
Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, Montana Seahawker Adam Emmert.
Yeah, joining you today as we're on our way to the playoffs, baby. Time for a home game at the Clink. This is going to be awesome.
Regular season has ended, and the Seahawks are coming back home for a playoff game, and yes, I know. It's a little bit disappointing. We had to count on the Saints to win. They couldn't get it done. But that means we actually get to watch Seahawks football this weekend rather than just watching everybody else.
I would have been fine taking a week off. I would have. I think I could have managed that and been okay with it.
I could have been okay with it too. But now, it's so hard bye weeks sometimes. You having to wait for a game. You know how it is after about 10 days. Even after a Thursday game and going to a following Sunday, it takes a long time. And we have football on a Saturday. I mean, we have to wait all day Saturday, but we don't have to wait till Sunday. It's like we're Seahawks football right away.
Right away. Yep, it'll be right back at you, which might be good for this team. Get right back out on the field. I think that might be a good thing for their deal. We'll see, though.
I told you last week, even before this happens, I said it might be good for their deal just to build some momentum. And really, if there's an opponent that the Seahawks was going to get in this first round, I think Detroit's a good option. And we're going to talk about this. We can talk about how they match up with the Lions. And we'll talk about, we'll go over the San Francisco game. We didn't talk a whole lot about this game going into it. I don't know if we want to spend a whole lot of time on it now. I think a lot of people want to hear about this matchup with the Lions. But let's get into the 49ers game, Adam.
Let's get into the 49ers game a little bit. Now, this is a game that I had to watch the day after, because I was in an airplane while it was being played. So it was one of those things where, like, I'm seeing the score, right, as it pops up on my phone as I could get Wi-Fi here and there. And I'd be like, are you serious? 14-3? Like, how is this happening? And then I hear everybody talk after the game. They're like, oh, man, like, yeah, they won, but it was really unimpressive and blah, blah, blah. So I go to watch the game, and I'm like, oh, man, this is just going to be a dumpster fire of a game that they somehow pulled out of their butt. But the thing is they actually didn't play bad. This wasn't that bad of a game. I mean, other than special teams kind of gacking it up for them, like, defense played pretty well. The offense actually strung it together, and then they finally took the foot off the gas when they put in Boyk in. I was fine with this performance. I think it's way better than the score was indicative of.
I think so, too. And I think a lot of people were upset more about how the game started. Well, maybe not how the game started initially, because it actually started out really well, because on the second play of the game, Bobby Wagner's recovering fumbles.
Drone behind Kaepernick out of the shotgun. The hand is to Drone. Ball is on the ground. Diving for it is Kaepernick. Bobby Wagner as well, and the Seahawks have it. Drone was trying to take the hand off. Kaepernick couldn't get it in his belly. The ball hits the ground, and Bobby Wagner recovers the fumble, and the Seahawks are in great field position.
So here's my thesis as to why things why people felt down after this is because the game started out this way. This is how everybody expected the game to go. Okay, the 49ers fumble. Here we go. We have an opportunity to get a touchdown. They end up kicking a field goal. And then it goes into the 49ers getting back-to-back touchdowns, and they're going for it on fourth down. They're getting it in the end zone, just powering it through the line, and all of a sudden it's 14-3, and everybody's kind of shaking their head.
Yeah, I mean, basically the Seahawks offense started a little slow, and the defense still played okay, even though they gave up those 14 points. I mean, they were getting after Kaepernick. They forced him into a couple fourth downs, and I mean, one of those fourth downs, they gave the spot to him, but yeah, I mean, they got it by the hair of your chinny chin chin.
Yeah,
and
no,
I mean,
it was close.
It's tough. I mean, it's just tough. I thought the defense played well. I really was impressed by the pass rush overall. They really did get to Kaepernick fairly well throughout the game. That was a welcome sight. And, one of the other things I took away from this is Kaepernick played competent quarterback. throughout the game.
Sure.
And he has been for the last few weeks. I think he's back a little bit.
I think so too. So maybe that was maybe a better test than we expected. But I think he only threw 4 or 5 incomplete passes. So, and a lot of it was short stuff, and a lot of those big gains were on.
The maddening scramble plays where he scrambles around and hits somebody.
Where KJ Wright points at a guy to cover his guy. And there wasn't anybody there to cover him.
Yeah, so early the defense forgot that they can throw it to running backs. Yeah. Like that was a problem. They got that short up a little bit, and Drone looked really, really strong early. They put the clamps down on him, and really the 49ers offense didn't really do squat for the rest of the game. They get a short field at the end of the game, and they score.
You say Drone looked good, but really it was just a couple of those catches out of the backfield. As far as running the ball, Drone wasn't getting anywhere apart from, just those really short yardage plays that you think the Seahawks will be able to stop him on. But he finished the game with 21 rushes and only 40 yards. He was 2 yards per carry. So
quit shorting Drone. He had 41 yards. Okay. Jeez Louise, Brandon.
Sorry.
But look, I just said early, like he had a couple okay runs right out of the gate. And I don't know. He was fine. I mean, one of the things that I noticed about the Hawks in this game is they didn't have a lot of energy. They were not up for this game. I mean, I never once saw the defense bouncing around and, fired up for one another or like anything like that. It was very business as usual. They came in there knowing, okay, we can beat this team. Let's see if the Saints can pull through. And I didn't get to watch football all day, so I didn't know how that kind of transpired with the Falcons score at the same time. I just saw the final score, which looked close. But throughout the day, I mean, the Falcons piled it on early.
Yeah, they did. The Saints never looked as though they had a shot in that game, apart from maybe the first quarter where it was still a little bit close. But as the Falcons pulled away, the Saints were able to make it close at the end. I think it was a late touchdown pass that got them close. And then they had an onside kick where it made things interesting. But it wasn't as close as the final score indicated for sure.
So you combine that with an opponent they're not exactly excited to be playing in. I think they kind of sleptwalk a little bit through this game, but still flashed some dominance. And it really kind of started when Ataba Rubin strips the running back, and Frank Clark picks it up and goes beast mode down the field.
The handoff. Harris fumbles the football. It's picked up. Coming near side is Clark. He breaks a tackle, breaks a second tackle, and finally dropped at the 15-yard line. The ball was stripped away from Harris. Frank Clark picks it up. Looked like a fullback breaking a tackle. Has to be helped up off the ground because he's out of gas. What a nice job Frank Clark did all the way down to the 15. The second takeaway by this Seahawks defense of the game sets up the offense deep in San Francisco territory.
You know who deserves a huge amount of credit for that play, Adam? A huge amount of credit.
A huge? Huge?
Huge.
Okay.
My wife.
Really?
Yeah.
What did Em do?
It was right before that play. So the Seahawks are up 14-3. She goes, "You have not put your flag up outside," because I hang my 12th flag up before the game, usually every game. She goes, "You didn't put your flag." And as soon as I got the flag posted, that fumble happened.
Yeah. Well, thank God she's around to keep you in line. Yeah, man. You're screwing it up, dude. I was wearing Lucky Hat on the road, on the airplane. And, checking scores. I was doing my part.
I know. Well, I'm glad she caught it. And because after that, it completely turned the game. And the Seahawks were, throwing it down the field and getting touchdown passes. Right after he throws just a dart to Luke Wilson in the end zone. It was a nice pass. And it felt like the Seahawks were finally in this game.
Yeah, it did. And, Russ started to come alive and, hits Jimmy Graham on a bomb. That was fun.
Russell, though, looking down the middle. Now he steps up. Now he scrambles right. Still looking. Pumps. Now he throws down the sideline. Jimmy Graham reaching up. Makes the catch as he inbounds. He is the basketball player. Boxes out the defender. He out-jumps him down at the 1-yard line. And that's why you went out and got number 88 to make a play for you that way.
This is one of those plays where you see it and you go, why do we not do this more often?
Yeah, that's how you use Jimmy Graham.
Right.
That's how you use Jimmy Graham. I mean, you just chuck it up to him. Just chuck it up to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he can out jump just about anybody, and especially, on the 49ers defense.
Yeah. I mean, Russ will chuck it up to just about anybody else, but yet somehow, like, the rare occurrence that he finally, like, chucks it up to Jimmy, it turns into a 50-yard bomb or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's do more of that, please. That'd be nice. I'd also like to see us run the ball a lot better. That's for sure.
This was the running the ball and red zone offense for me. I'm still disturbed by the Seahawks team inside the red zone, especially on the road. But on the plus side, though, Adam, we did see the team punch it in from the 1 yard line.
First and goal from the 1. Russell under center, hands it off to Rawls, and he pounds his way in. Touchdown, Seahawks! Thomas Rawls, the tail of the eye, and he fights his way in over the left side, and the Seahawks take the lead over the Niners here in Santa Clara.
19-14, should have been 20-14, but another extra point blocked.
Right. Yeah. We'll get to special teams. I was saving that for last, but
okay, we could save that for last. But
okay,
Thomas Rawls, yes, gets in 1 yard run. I think the Seahawks needed to see that.
Yeah, they did. We needed,
or at least
to see,
we fans needed to see that.
Yeah. And look, I hope Terrell Bevel took notes and was like, "Oh, sure, catfish. I'm gonna call a run play right up the middle on the 1 yard line, and we score a touchdown. There's no interceptions. Like, this is amazing. This is amazing."
He wasn't stuffed in the backfield. The guys actually blocked up front for him. Marcel Reese got in there, made a good block to get him in the end zone. And we have a fullback who can block. This is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what football's supposed to look like right there. Jeez Louise, man. I think another thing I was encouraged by was the emergence of Paul Richardson in this game.
Yeah.
He really kind of jump-started the offense, I thought, with a couple big catches down the left sideline. He looked like he's every bit ready to take over Tyler Lockett's role, as much as he can. And I think he can do, like 85-90% of what Tyler can do. So that's pretty cool.
He does an important thing that receivers are supposed to do, and catch the ball with their hands and hold on to it. It's a very important skill, and he seems to have it.
He does. I like that part of his game, no doubt about it. Jermaine Kearse actually had a couple catches, and then he also had a drop.
Yeah, that one nice catch, though, where it was, I think the blitz was on, and Russell was able to roll out and on the run, throw it downfield to him, and he had a nice little snag going out of bounds.
He did. I thought he played fairly well. So, in all, Russ finishes with 258 through the air and a touchdown, and had a very efficient game. And, that's playing, only half of the fourth quarter, too. So, honestly, I look back at this game. I look at Michael Bennett getting his sack on and then not dancing for his wife. And just the pass rush as a whole, and the DBs played fairly sticky coverage. I thought overall, this was a good game for this team.
I like how Michael Bennett went about changing his sack dance. And as a tribute to his wife, she asked him not to do it, and he abided.
Exactly. Blew her a kiss.
Yeah.
I thought that was
exactly.
Nice. Well, when you got 31 million new ones, that you probably are a little more simmered down. You feel pretty good about your security and where you're at in life, and just spread the love with blowing a kiss rather than having some pelvic thrusts. So
very cool to see Michael Bennett locked up, 3-year extension right before this game. It seems like every year at this point in time, the Seahawks are taking care of somebody on the defensive line, and this year we're like a linebacker like KJ Wright, I think, came about this time of year. Now we see Michael Bennett locked up.
Are you concerned that we haven't heard that Cam Chancellor's been locked up yet?
He still has a year under his contract.
Yeah, but he needs to be renegotiated.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like Bennett did. I mean,
well, it'll probably come.
You think so?
In this offseason.
Think they're going to do both? Because we've always thought that maybe it was one or the other.
Oh, you don't need to pay offensive linemen, Adam. Come on now.
Oh, right. Silly me. Can't believe I thought about that once again. That was dumb.
You listen to the coaches, and they're excited about the experience these young guys are getting on the offensive line. And it just gives you the impression that they're going to build on that.
Yeah. Well, you can't go down, I guess, when you're 32. 32nd in the league. You got nowhere to go.
But up. And it's going to take a little bit of upping just to get past number 31. But
yeah,
we can talk more. There's plenty of time in the offseason to talk about that. We have the offensive line that we have. Let's just be happy for Michael Bennett that he's gotten paid. Yeah. He's getting a little bit more money. It's not drastically. They're not going to be able to afford a great offensive lineman in free agency because they threw a few extra bucks Michael Bennett's way. You know, what is it, $2-3 million extra per year?
Right. And the cap going up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're spreading it out over a few years, so that bonus rolls in. It's not, it's not like they gave him an extra $10 million on top of what he's already making right now.
Right. The extension makes sense. And just like you said, spreading out the dollars over the cap over the next 3 years, that helps things too. So in a lot of ways, this is win-win for everybody. I was happy to see that. You mentioned the offensive line. I want to talk about them a little bit because I think they had a decent day.
They did.
They weren't nearly as terrible as they had been. But again, it's the 49ers. But it's at least it was good to see that they could go out there and be competent against somebody.
The Niners this year have had an okay pass rush. I think they have some young guys there. They have had injuries on their defensive line.
And look, again, this was on the road. And this is where we've seen this team struggle even against really bad teams. And so to come out and actually pretty much have their way with that game, that's everything I needed to see going into the Lions game. It really was.
Now, one thing we haven't talked about, you mentioned Russell left a little bit early in the fourth quarter. Trevon Boykin comes in relief. Some people thought maybe it was a little bit too early, especially after his first series where he threw one of the worst passes I think I've ever seen. And then he comes back on the next drive and throws one of the better passes that I've seen. I have no idea what that first one, no idea what happened.
Was the first one the one where it just comes out of his hand?
Yeah. He was trying to throw a bubble screen to Doug Baldwin. And it just comes out of his hand. And I'm mad at Boykin for this because had he actually gotten the ball to Doug Baldwin, Doug would have broken the franchise record for receptions in a single season. Instead, he finishes with 94 catches, tied for the franchise record in a season.
Hey, the football god said no. Doug Baldwin will be the co-leader in receptions in one season for the Seattle Seahawks, at least for one more season. He could always break that next year.
That's true. He probably will break it next year.
He keeps getting better year in, year out, man. So,
and he does too. I love that. Yeah. I love seeing a guy like Doug Baldwin continue to get better.
And I think Trevon Boykin will get better too over his career. He got a little better over the game.
Yeah, he got better in this game.
Yeah, but they start out with what was it, a long run from Collins, and then they jerk Russell Wilson after one play of that drive, put in T-Boyk, and he basically goes 3 and out from there.
Yeah,
and then they get the big return and special teams, the 49ers do, and they start out at like the 40,
right?
Obviously score there on this super short field. And then, aren't you thinking Russell Wilson's going to come back at that point?
You're kind of thinking, well, it's only a 2-point game. How about we bring Russell back in and maybe close this one out? But no, T-Boyk comes back in and with only a 2-point lead, trying to run out the clock. He drops back on third down, and they just have 1 yard to go. Fakes a handoff to Alex Collins, and he does like this great stutter move to freeze the defensive lineman. Continues running to his right, throws across his body right to Luke Wilson. They convert it on third down. And at that point, you're like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about T-Boyk right now.
Now, you said that was your favorite throw. See, for me, it was the previous third down where he hits McAvoy on and out. That, to me, that's a professional play right there.
That was pretty good, too.
Yeah, and McAvoy's a heck of a receiver, man. He's got good hands. Talk about guys who do their job, the number one job for receiving, just catch the damn ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That guy can do it. I love me some Tanner McAvoy, man. I can't wait he needs more playing time. He does.
Of all his targets, I think he's caught all of them except for one.
Yeah. Yeah, he just is a vacuum cleaner out there, man. He just sucks everything up. If it's around him, just...
And that may not have been a drop. That's just targets. So
yeah, exactly.
Might not have been his fault.
Russ could have just missed. Yeah.
I think we're going to see him grow into a pretty solid receiver over the coming years.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's funny that you see Trevon Boykin come in the game and then remain in the game, because that shows you just how many craps Pete Carroll gives about the third or the fourth seed. He really doesn't care.
Well, listening to him in his post-game show, he was kind of, after that long return, I think he had to think about it a little bit, because Pete did want this win. He just... up 9 points with the amount of time that they have left on the clock. He had the confidence in the defense that they'd be able to get the job done. It was just that they ended up having such a short field. And the 49ers had a block in the back on that punt return, too, that didn't get called, which, whatever. But I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But he had the confidence in the defense to hold a lead like that late in the game.
You should have that sort of confidence in that defense. I mean, that's your premier unit, right? So I get it. I get where his head was at there. But then the special teams basically try to gack up the game for you.
Let's talk about special teams.
Okay. I don't want Nolan Freeze on this team anymore.
Oh, man. He had a really bad sprained ankle. Coach Carroll singled him out for his ability to play through that as well as he did. I think I heard that Brock Coyle may have been considered for long snapper at one point in this game. I don't want to find out who our backup long snapper is.
I don't care if your ankle is that sprained and he goes out there, because he's not an accurate snapper when he's healthy. So that's not an excuse to me. Oh, my ankle got an owie. And so I decided to chuck the ball over John Ryan's head by 10 yards.
Yeah, that wasn't even close.
It wasn't even close. He airmailed that thing. He didn't blow it. He typhooned it, man. He missed it by a country mile. That was terrible. And
it was bad. It cost the team 2 points, and it gave the 49ers that glimmer of hope. If they end up driving down the field late and kicking the field goal and winning by 1 point, man, you look at that and say he shouldn't have been in there.
No. And then this extra point thing, having extra points block, a little bit of that we've talked about before is Hauschka kicks a lower ball than some. But the other thing is that Freeze gets blowed up in the middle every time. And it's just a problem, man.
Well, part of that's Glowinski too, and I don't know why he's on the right side instead of the left side for a field goal team, but it looked to me when they came in and kicked the extra point after the later touchdown that Odiombo was in Glowinski's place in there next to Freeze. So maybe they're seeing something there and made a shift, because I didn't see Glowinski in his normal spot for that final kick.
Interesting. I did not notice that. Good spot by you. You're a special teams guru there. I'm very impressed. Now, was the one that was blocked, was that a high snap from Freeze as well?
No, the snap was good. It was just, it was low, and the dude was in the backfield way deeper than he should have been. They've been giving up way too much interior pressure to linemen, and I think part of it, maybe Freeze, but I think part of it too, it could be Glowinski, because it always seems to be on that side.
Well, let's figure that out, please, because I'm tired of that.
We need those free points.
Right. It's not that Hausch is missing them.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he's missed a couple, and one was, kind of crunch time, but I just.
Well, can we just say that if Hauschka, if he makes a field goal this season against the Cardinals, that or maybe an extra point in that game at home, that we have the 2 seed because we finish tied with Atlanta, we have the tiebreaker because we beat them.
Yeah.
And we have the number 2 seed.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's that close though, right?
It was that close.
It's that close. I mean, that's why when people fret over these games or freak out over, dumb losses and things like that, it's because of that. It is that tight of a margin to, between a bye in home games or going on the road or playing the first week in the wild card round. It's important stuff.
Okay, I lied. I'm not done being negative. Because the team also said goodbye to the scoring title this year. Finished third behind the Patriots, number 1, New York Giants, number 2. Over the last 3 games, the Patriots gave up under less than a touchdown a game, 6.7 points per game over their final 3 games. Seahawks were giving up 20 points over their last 3 games.
Yes. Well, losing Earl Thomas is significant. I mean,
well, clearly.
That's the difference.
And I don't know. Maybe we don't play in a tougher division. Maybe I just want to say that we play in a tougher division.
No, we don't play in a tougher division. There's not a lot of good teams in this division.
Yeah. The AFC East isn't. And maybe the AFC East is a little better.
Yeah, the Dolphins are a decent team. That pains me to say. And honestly, I didn't think the Bills. I don't think the Bills were that terrible either.
Yeah. And the Jets are their version of the 49ers in that division. So,
right.
Dang it. I can't say that.
No, it is probably better. It's crazy that the NFL has changed that much in the last couple of years. From having the best division of football to, a bunch of dumpster fires like the Santa Clara Niners. But I contemplated going to that game. like switching my flight out of San Francisco.
Oh, so you could be there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it felt better to be home for an extra day than basically flying out late just to watch, the Santa Clara Niners play. Like I had no desire for that.
No. Well.
Yeah. Because I only get to be home like 3 days before I'm on the road again. So,
I'm proud of the people who were there because they made a lot of noise. I heard a lot of Seahawks chants coming through the TV.
Now, am I wrong about this? Or when the Santa Clara fans started to chant defense, did we take over their defense chants every time and basically turn it into Seahawks?
Yes. We were doing that when I was down there for that was it a Thursday night game one time?
Yeah. Because it was just enough to where it was coming through, and I was like, "Is it really Seahawks instead of defense?" And God bless the 49er faithful, the few that are there. Like they really did. They tried. And
Jed York would have you believe that 59,000 49ers fans turned out for that game. I don't think that those entire 59,000 were 49ers fans.
Jed York would have you believe that the problem with that team is either Trent Baalke or Chip Kelly.
One of the two.
Yeah. I actually feel bad for Chip Kelly.
Yeah, I do too. I don't feel bad for Jed York. For
Trent Baalke, I don't feel bad for either of those two.
Oh no. It was so fun watching Jed York get grilled by the media. I really enjoyed that. They asked a lot of good questions.
Yeah, well, he's such a joke show. He's one of the worst owners in the league. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Him and Stan Kroenke are like vying for that title right now.
He just seems like a huge tool bag. I would not want him for an owner.
He's a walking catfish balloon, man. Like he is a gigantic catfish. There's no doubt about it. But I do feel bad for Chip because what was he supposed to do with that roster?
Yeah, like
seriously,
right? And
then you get the injury bug on top of that.
Yeah, I think they were up around 20 people on IR this season.
What in the world do you expect? Yeah. They were actually competitive in a lot of games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think because so the throughout the broadcast, right? They're like, Trent Baalke fired and Chip Kelly, we're not sure about yet. There's going to be a personnel meeting or something after? Or whatever.
York said he met with Chip Kelly for like an hour and a half after the game.
Yeah, I don't believe it wasn't an hour and a half, much like there weren't 59,000 fans there. That conversation took about 10 minutes. Jed York was like, "So Chip, what kind of job do you think you did here?" And Chip was like, "I think I did pretty good." And he's like, "But do you think you can do better? And do you really want to be here?" And Chip's like, I don't think Chip wanted to be there at all. I think the idea that he was going to get fired, he was like, that might not be the worst thing. I can get away from this organization. I'll go be an offensive coordinator somewhere for a year or two, maybe go back to college, whatever. And then I'll come back and coach a team like Pete Carroll did.
I think he goes back to being a college coach before he's a coordinator. I think he can make a lot of money as a college coach again.
Oh, man. Back up the trucks, man.
Way more than he could make as a coordinator.
Oh, for sure. So it just kind of depends on what his preference is, Yeah. Cash or more NFL credentials. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
we'll be watching.
Yeah, we'll be watching. I just thought that was interesting. The 49ers have completely unraveled, as we play them. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I thought they unraveled last year, but it continued this year, apparently.
Nope, this is rock bottom.
This is rock bottom. You hear that, 49ers fans or Seahawks fans? Tell your Niners fans, it's rock bottom. It's okay. It can only go up from here.
Right.
Or stay level.
They feel like Jim Mora was just their coach. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's how they feel right now.
Except they probably had a better coach than Jim Mora. But
yeah, I'm just saying rock bottom. Like, that's what that feels like a little bit.
Well, let's get into the Lions game. And Adam, I think Lions fans and Seahawks fans have a lot in common coming into this game. We're both, I think, as fans, a bit down. Seahawks fans really wanted that number 2 seed. Lions fans are down because they really wanted to win the division. And despite losing in weeks 15 and 16, all they needed was that one win over the Packers. And unfortunately for them, well, it turned out to be fortunate that the Redskins lost to the Giants. And so the loser was able to stay in the playoffs. But I think the Lions fans really would have loved it if Washington would have won and they could have just kicked the Packers right out of the playoffs early. been hosting a playoff game. Yes, it's against the Giants, a team that they lost to just a couple weeks ago. But that would have made Lions fans feel a lot better, I think.
Yeah, that's basically worst case scenario for Detroit, right? Well, I guess not worst case. They're still in. Worst case would have been Washington winning and they still lost. But
right.
Yeah, as far as them being in the playoffs, this was probably their least favored scenario, no doubt about it. I mean, everybody knows that coming to the Clink during playoff time is a difficult place to come in and win. Basically, nobody does it. But look, I mean, this Lions team, they're frisky. I mean, you should have a little bit of pause and concern over this game, I would think.
I think so too. And to those people who are still kind of moping around after this weekend's game, oh, we got the 3rd seed, blah, blah, blah. Wake up, people. Your team is in the playoffs. Maybe they don't have the same momentum that they had in previous years, but there's 20 other teams that didn't make it. Those fans would love to be in your shoes. Maybe not Lions fans because they're moping around as well, but there's more football. You're rooting for your team based on your team being in there. Yeah. You're not rooting for teams based on who you dislike the least. You're cheering for your team.
Yeah, big time. One thing, I mean, I've said it a couple times on the podcast. I'm like, this team has regressed. This team has regressed, right? Well, we have which seed again? The 3rd seed?
3rd seed.
What was our seed last year?
It was a 5th seed?
Yeah, it was a lower seed.
It was a lower seed for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody's like, no momentum, blah, 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 blah. Look, they're better off this year than they were the year before.
Yeah.
That's called improvement. I'm happy to see that. Would it have been better to have the 2 seed? Of course it was. You know, I mean, do I feel overwhelmingly confident about their chances against the Lions? No, I think that there's definitely some weaknesses there that can be exploited. But look, this is a decent matchup for the Seahawks all the way around. The Lions aren't great against the pass. Their pass rush isn't mind blowing. I mean, Ziggy Ansah is a fine player.
Yeah,
but there's not a lot past that. And
Ziggy Ansah is going to be going up against George Fant, and it's going to be a test for Fant.
Oh, great. Yeah, exactly. That's your one area of concern there, no doubt about it. But look, I mean, you should be able to throw the ball around a little bit. You should be able to score some points. You know that the Lions are a one-dimensional team. They can't run the ball. They haven't run the ball all year.
They're the only team. There's only one team that's run fewer run plays this season than the Detroit Lions, and that's the Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
They do not run the ball hardly at all. And part of that's because they've had health issues in their backfield, right? I mean, they're down to Zach Zenner as their running back.
I like Zach Zenner, though.
I do kind of like Zach Zenner, but, earlier on they had, with their draft pick go down, I think he only played, the first game. Theo Riddick, who it was a great pass-catching running back, and they just put him on IR this last weekend. He had the crazy thing about him. He's got 55 completions on the year. That's as many as Marvin Jones has. And they threw it to Riddick 45 fewer times. They targeted him 45 fewer times than Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is like in curse territory with his completion percentage. 116 targets, 55 completions.
Wow.
Yeah, it's under 50%.
I didn't realize he had had the struggles that much this year. But yeah, one thing, you brought up them throwing the ball to Riddick. They'll throw it to Zenner a lot too. So just a heads up, Seattle.
Yeah, KJ Wright, watch the running back out of the backfield.
Right. Yeah, it's not that dude behind you that's your imaginary friend who's supposed to cover him. Like, you got to do it.
The 12th man has you from the stands. We cannot come down and tackle running backs for you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, I'm going to need you to do that. So, no, this is one of the things that you look at. And then also Stafford's banged up with the finger, but I watched a bit of that Green Bay Lions game, and
he can still rip the ball.
He can grip the ball, and he's still throwing some dimes. And look, Stafford's going to throw one or two knucklehead throws a game, but this is about peak Stafford. This is as good as a chucker can be. I think that's something that should give the Legion of Boom just a little bit of concern, something you need to think about.
You do have to be concerned, especially because you have Anquan Bolden, even though he's almost my age, he can still play. His 9 touchdown catches lead the team. And you got Golden Tate.
I was going to say, why are we not bringing up the elephant in the room? Golden Tate.
Golden Tate coming back to Seattle. Is a Golden Tate revenge game in order?
I'm a little concerned about that. You could see that happening. Golden Tate going off for a big game, because A lot of people are like, oh, what did Golden Tate do in Detroit this year? Well, he basically had Doug Baldwin production, 91 catches in over 1,000 yards. So Golden's been balling out, and he's clearly their number one.
That guy can make dudes miss. He's so shifty. That was one of the things that we really liked about him, and he hasn't lost that at all.
No, not at all. And I mean, being a former running back and all that, that's where a lot of that comes from. So he's the number one weapon that you got to watch. You got to look for Baldwin on, third downs, possession type catches. If you can do that, you probably give this Lions team a little bit of fit. And the other thing is that our defense being able to just more or less tee off with the pass rush every single play, that's going to be a big advantage, because you could definitely see that when they knew the Niners were in that kind of range, where they were just going to have to throw it, that they made life pretty miserable on Kaepernick. And they can do the same thing to Stafford. Get a little pressure on him, and that chucker will definitely make a mistake or two.
They can. One thing that I think could make the difference in this game, and this is probably something we're going deeper here than just about any other show is probably going to go. We saw earlier the difference that it made with Justin Britt out of the lineup, right, at center. And he's had an outstanding year at center. The Lions have been without their starting center, Travis Swanson, for the last 4 games now. And he's been out with a concussion, and he could come back this week. That's one area where I kind of have to think that, if they've had the struggles without their starting center in the lineup, maybe him coming back could be just enough to keep that offensive line together.
Yeah, good luck with that. Between Frank Clark, Averill, and Bennett, man, like that's a pretty productive pass rushing trio. And then throw in Bobby Wagner in there, this is peak Bobby Wagner. This is the best we've ever seen of him. Like, this is the start of his prime. He's been amazing, whether it's getting after the quarterback or just stuffing the run. I mean, led the league in tackles this year. He's off the charts, man. Like, I don't see them. I feel like Detroit's going to have a problem with the Seattle pass rush.
Yeah, we're not done talking about Bobby Wagner. I have more to say about him later in the show.
Oh, okay.
But and one thing when I was looking at this that was interesting to me, you know how they put player injuries in parentheses, so and so out ankle,
right?
It said Swanson parentheses brain. And
wow,
most say concussion, but I thought it was interesting to see brain.
That's kind of funny. I used to see them do parentheses head. You're like, oh, his head
somewhere in the head
got
area.
Hurt. Yeah.
Brain a lot more specific. Concussion seems like that's brain seems right, I guess.
No, it is. It's accurate. But it's kind of like that thing where like you say, my brain hurts. Like when you're thinking too hard or you've had too much information. No, like his brain hurts because he got his bell rung, Or he just drank something really cold too quickly. Man, I got brain freeze just pumping gas the other day because it was like -5 and then the wind was blowing 20 miles an hour. And I just got brain freeze from the wind.
Wow. That's cold.
Yeah, this yo-yoing back between climates has been tough on me, man, because I went down to San Francisco for an emergency job, and it was like 60 degrees and sunny, and then come back to a blizzard.
Yeah, it's just, like -10. That's a 70-degree swing, and that could be tough on your body.
It's been crazy, yeah. And then driving out to Washington next week, I don't know what to expect, man. Like my whole environmental clock's screwed up, dude.
Well, I want to go back to the Lions' defensive line because you mentioned their pass rush and how they only have Anza. Football Outsiders ranks them 21 in terms of the rushing yards that they give up. So this is a team that potentially the Seahawks could get right against running the ball. The Lions are 31 in the league against power runs. Teams succeed 73% of the time in situations where they're, on 3rd and 4th down with 2 yards or less. Or if it's first down and goal or second down and goal with 2 yards or less that results in a touchdown. This is a team that you can really power it against.
And another thing too, when you talk about that Detroit front, is that they're 30th in the league when it comes to opponent sack percentage.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're always they're not like they're out there just terrorizing quarterbacks. So I think that bodes well for the Seahawks.
I watched them against the Giants though, and they did seem to get after Manning in that game. So I think they can do it. I think this team can be frisky on the defensive line. They may not get to the quarterback very often. But again, Eli Manning's not the most mobile quarterback either. So I think having Russell Wilson does, Russell Wilson does offer you some benefit there.
Exactly. So, yeah, this defense struggles in pretty much every category when you go down the list. I mean, basically, their strongest attribute is the idea that they don't give up the big play down the field through the passing game. 12th in the league when it comes to that, which, again, is closer to middle of the pack than it is, upper echelon. So,
sure,
pretty much everything else, you go down the list, I mean, they're ranked down in the 20s and the 30s of the league here, and there's not a lot of 30s. There's only 2 of them. So it's not a great defense, and that should be the difference in this game. It's just the fact that the Seattle defense is so much stronger than the Detroit defense. One thing, Seattle does kind of feast off of turnovers, and you saw that be a game-changing play in this 49er games. The Lions are actually very good at not turning the ball over. I believe they're somewhere around 5th in the league on giveaways. So,
wow.
Yeah, they do not turn the ball over very often. That could be a huge thing. If we can turn them over once or twice, it's game over.
Yeah, and I think getting those red zone scores, turning them into touchdowns when you're at home, the struggles seem to be real on the road, but at home, they seem to do a better job, at least how the season has played out. Yes. Going back and looking at the offensive line, you mentioned it a little bit for the Lions, but of all the potential opponents, this was the one that the Seahawks should have the best opportunity for getting to the quarterback. Football Outsiders has the Giants ranked number 2 in terms of their offensive line. Washington was number 3. That was another potential team that we could have faced. Green Bay, number 11. Detroit, 18th. So bottom half of the league in protecting their quarterback against a pass rush. And then run blocking, too, ranked 31, just ahead of San Francisco. They don't do the run blocking. No, they prefer to not to do that. So, yeah, and the idea that they live or die with Matt Stafford, who really give Matt Stafford a lot of credit this year. I think he's played pretty darn well and basically put a team that really doesn't belong in the playoffs on his back and somehow got him there. And he showed early on this season he can be a fourth quarter quarterback. They have the record for the most fourth quarter comebacks. And you look at their points per quarter that they score, it's 60 points in the first quarter, 117 points. So they almost double it up in the second quarter. Then you go to the third, 53 points, and then fourth quarter, 110 points. So this is a second and fourth quarter team where they tend, it's almost a mirror image of the Seahawks. Actually, with the Seahawks 66 in the first, 138 in the second, 46 in the third, and 101 in the fourth. So it's kind of a mirror image as far as being able to win games late.
Yeah, they have some clutchiness to them. So that'll be something we don't want to let them hang around. That's for sure.
And then it concerns me that the Seahawks defense has allowed 97 fourth quarter points this season. Compare that to 2013, 2014. When they were giving up 60, 67 points in the fourth quarter.
But the thing about it is how many games did the defense gack up in the end this year? Not many. Yeah. It was nothing like it was the previous year, man.
Oh,
like
not
where
lot.
Yeah. So I'm fine with that. Like if you can give up, I don't care the total amount of points as long as at the end of the day we have one more than they do.
Right.
I mean, that really is all that matters to me.
Yeah. Continuing to play football.
Yeah. Like we will next week, because this is step 1 on the road to the Super Bowl, Brandon.
That's right.
We're going to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
I'm glad you've improved your consistency, because your tune was not the same when I spoke to you yesterday. No,
which is true, because I hadn't watched the game yet. And I just had heard everybody talk, and I'd read the articles, and I'd seen the scores. And then I watched the game. I was like, oh, this team wasn't nearly as bad as everybody makes it out to be. Everybody's having like I was more concerned about the Cardinals' performance in that game than I was about this game.
I think just because it's the Niners, the way it started, you want to see them win by 2 touchdowns at least, and it was closer than I think people were more comfortable with. But going back to the Lions, one last thing I wanted to say about them, the way they were so clutch early on in the season, in their last 4 games, they've only averaged 3 points per game in the fourth quarter. So the Seahawks averaging 10 points per game in the fourth quarter over the last 3 games. Interesting thing, Pittsburgh's the only playoff team that's done better in the fourth quarter over the last 3 games. So Seahawks are up there. They're scoring their fourth quarter points now.
Because we all know when you can win the game, right, Brandon? It's in the fourth quarter.
It's in the fourth quarter. Not in the first, not in the second. It's the fourth quarter, Adam.
The fourth quarter. So that's good to see. You know, I'm interested. Who was that number 30 guy that was playing running back for us?
Oh, it looks like Alex Collins almost. Like if you couldn't see the 0 and you thought it was a 6. Like he has the dreads over his name tape, just like Alex Collins.
Yeah, it was like Mick something. McKisson or McKissinger. I don't know. Where the hell did he come from?
Arkansas? Mick Seahawkerson?
Yeah, that's more or less it. Yeah. That's one of those things. Again, one of those times where you look at it and be like, I thought I was a fan of this team. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Some guy from Arkansas State.
You know, if we're going to go back to the 49ers game, do we have to give Alex Collins a little bit of credit in this game?
He did okay. Because I heard everybody talking, Alex Collins looked great. I didn't think he looked any better than Rawls. Well, he got stuffed a bunch of times. He had like 1 or 2 nice runs and then just got stuffed.
Yeah, he had a few nice runs up the middle.
He was okay. He
finished averaging with 7.9 yards a carry.
I know, but that's not what the eyeball test says. He didn't average 7.9. It was less than that. I mean, I know officially that's what it says, but he didn't look like that kind of running back. No, definitely not. He looked okay. He looked like he could play. I'm not mad about it. Yeah. Like, I think he was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So did we figure out who that other dude was?
No, I rely on you to look
McKissick.
This stuff up. McKissick. Okay.
J.D. McKissick.
Yeah. I thought he looked pretty decent too.
Yeah, rookie out of Arkansas State. One area where Alex Collins and McKissick, where he looked good too, catching the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
And for a guy like Collins, who wasn't really touted as a pass catching back, he hasn't dropped a pass this year. Every target, every throw that's come his way, he's caught.
Yeah. Way to jinx him, man. Oh. Thanks. Going right into the playoffs. Real smart.
We won't need him in the playoffs. Thomas Rawls is going to be on. You know, they were going to limit Rawls in this game, coming with the bruised shoulder that he had last week. You know, he wasn't going to get a ton of playing time. And now is the time we can see Thomas Rawls start to turn it on. Now that we're in the playoffs.
If you're one of those that believes in the team that just flips the switch, then I guess that's probably the narrative, right? Like suddenly they're going to start just cramming the ball down everybody's throats with Thomas Rawls and score 40 points, and the defense will be suffocating on our way to the Super Bowl.
You think this team can flip the switch?
No.
No.
No. I think the whole flip the proverbial switch thing is BS, man. I've seen very few teams that possess that ability. I mean, you are who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't buy into that crap at all.
You play how you practice, essentially.
Yeah. That's why, for years you always heard, well, every game's a championship game, right? So that you're equally up for every single game and then not overwhelmed for the really big games. But this team clearly doesn't get up for every single game the same way anymore.
No, it's not the same. Anything else you want to say about the Lions? Any predictions coming to this game?
I think this is a relatively high-scoring affair, and I think the Seahawks come out on top 27-23.
Based on what I've seen from the Lions, when they've played some of the top defenses in the league, and yes, we're missing Earl Thomas, I still don't think that the Lions score more than 16 points in this game.
That sounds great. Sign me up for that. I just think they're gonna get there.
But I bet they're within the spread. I say 23-16.
23-16. What is the spread?
It's like 7.5.
Wow. Okay. Look, I think the Lions are, they're a decent team. They can do a few things. So
yeah, no,
I'm just giving them a little respect. That's all.
I think so too. I think they can. Stafford's going to give this team a chance to win late, I think, and maybe it's similar to the Giants, to where you see a pick in the end zone that kind of closes out any thought of a comeback. But I think this is going to come down to the fourth quarter, because you win the game in the fourth quarter.
That's right, Brandon. Yeah. Well, with that analysis, we should probably get to the second half of the show, because there's nothing better to say than that. We win the game in the fourth quarter.
And it's better to win than lose.
Yeah. True fact.
On this week's playoff-bound edition of 3 In 3 Out, we'll be discussing why we all need a little more Jimmy Eat World in our lives, and why Brit's no-chill play has us all fired up. And Is Richie Rich just that catalyst we need to take a run at the Lombardi? We'll discuss all that, plus the Sherman jump for love where he landed on his butt. We got to talk about that too, of course. We're headed to the playoffs, so turn it up to 11 and jam out to this week's 3 and 3 Out, written exclusively for the Seahawkers Podcast.
The Seahawkers Podcast is the official podcast of the official booster club of the Seattle Seahawks. Go to Seahawkers.org. And you can check out where the clubs are around the country, around the world even, and find fellow Hawks fans in your area to watch games and hang out with. It's a good deal.
It is a good deal, man. You should check it out.
And be sure to check out 3 In, 3 Out by Clinton Bonner, Seahawkerspodcast.com/3i30. And Clinton switched it up a little bit on us last week, going with the video pod.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun change of pace. I enjoy the creativity that Clinton brings to it.
Definitely. And he will continue to bring it throughout the playoffs. And I want to go back and talk about this a little bit. This playoff stretch, I think, because we talked about flipping the switch before the break and whether or not a team can really do that. And then I think the consensus was not really. But I think the fact that this team is playing in the first week, and they're going to have the Lions first. If they get through the Lions, they're going to have Atlanta. And then once you're in the NFC Championship, I think this is like a stepladder approach to the Super Bowl right now.
Really?
Well, I think it plays out favorably in terms of the schedule, because you're getting a team right out of the gate like maybe the Giants. Maybe that wouldn't have been the best thing.
I don't know. Here's what I think about all that, because I know you love your playoff permutations, but you got to play hard teams at some point in the playoffs. I don't care when you play them. Like, fine. All right. We're going to have to beat some good teams along the way.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. So it doesn't really matter. You're going to play good teams one way or the other.
No, you got the Coach Carroll approach. I see. He's wearing off on you. Is that
Coach Carroll's approach?
Yeah. You play 1 week at a time, play who's in front of you. Don't have any control.
No, you don't. I mean, you do what just go out and win games. Just win games. It's not complicated.
I liked what Ross Wilberding said, and looking forward to maybe a bad call revenge stretch,
Right.
taking on the Lions first. The bat of the ball out of the end zone, how that ended that Monday night game, and then you have Atlanta earlier on this season. There was the PI non-call that everybody talked about with Richard Sherman and Julio Jones, and then of course Green Bay having them maybe once again in an NFC Championship game. Then we get to hear about the Hail Mary completed pass all over again.
Yeah, that's all true.
I refuse to call that the Hail Mary game. It was a Hail Mary game to me.
Yeah, it's not the Hail Mary game. No, that's a term I dislike using, no doubt about it. That was a catch.
Right.
It's still a catch.
How is that a fail?
It's always going to be a catch.
We won. Yeah. Seahawks fans should not call that a Hail Mary game because we won.
No, that was a succeed Mary.
Right.
Wasn't a fail Mary.
Well, Adam, let's move on to the Pick'em League and how folks are doing.
I don't want to talk about picks this week.
You don't want to talk about picks? Why?
I don't want to talk about picks.
Why don't you want to talk about picks, Adam?
It just because it doesn't matter this week. It's just nothing really good happened. I'm not worried about picks.
I don't know. I feel like we should take a look at the leaderboard, not just at.
No, I think we're fine there. We could just gloss.
Well, let's not talk about us. Let's talk about our winners of the Patron League. We have a 5-way tie at the top. Oh, look at this. The Born of Fedity was the tiebreaker there with 170 points, and also defend every.
Wait, did you give yourself the tiebreaker?
I gave myself the tiebreaker.
Wow, this is some crooked catfish.
I've been very consistent with my tie-breaking procedures all year long. And,
yeah, you have been consistent. The first time you could use it for your advantage, you did. Nobody knows how it works.
Well, I got the tiebreaker, and then also prizes going to the runners-up this week. Defend every blade of grass. Kofi with his third week win, and also Grafhawk. So congrats to Brian. At the end of the regular season, Easley Street on top with 2,280 points. Lieutenant Nacho Cheese at 2,260, and Toonhawk and the Drop Bears at 2,240. Neocloud hanging on at 2,200. Jeremy, though, in fifth place. You're going to need some help to make up 80 points now that we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. That's tough there. But look, I mean, Easley Street, that's basically wire to wire.
I know, and no wins, no weekly wins, just consistently right there among the top, and looking good for that Largent jersey, that signed Largent jersey that Ross Willerding was nice enough to donate. Mm-hmm. And then for the KJ Wright autographed football, we got, before we get there, Damian 10L only missed the Bears, Vikings, and Cowboys, Eagles games for 180 points in the Seahawks Podcast League.
Holy smokes, man.
So
that's impressive.
Yeah, Damian 10L, send us your information and we'll make sure to get a sticker out to you and some free bonus shows if you want them.
Oh, for sure, man.
For the KJ Wright ball, Biggity Cool jumps into a tie at the number 2 spot with Lieutenant Nacho Cheese. Obviously, Easley Street still hanging on in the Seahawkers Podcast League as well. So a lot of the same people up on top. Bullbuster at number 6 with 22-30. So within 50 points going into the playoffs. And I think for the playoffs, Adam, we need to institute, I think we need to do away with the minus 40 rule.
You want to be able to bet against your own team?
No, I'm saying if you pick against the Seahawks in the playoffs, it's just going to be an automatic disqualification. There's no minus 40.
Yeah, right?
Automatic
because
DQ.
It's win or go home. So yeah, you're just out.
Yeah, it's bad Hakra, and it won't be tolerated.
It will not be tolerated. Yeah, you can take your poor attitude somewhere else at that point. Yeah. I'm even going to pick, if heaven forbid something should happen and they somehow lose to the Lions, I will pick the Seahawks next week.
Right.
I will still pick them to win. I will hack the system and write in Seahawks.
And write it in.
Yeah, I'll call up Russia and see if they can hack the system.
Yeah, that's how much of a fan you are. I like it.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, remember we had Balazzo win earlier on in the season. I think we need he said he's not a Russian hacker, but Balazzo over there in Europe, I know. So I'm sure he has some hacking skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to look. The thing is, we won't have to look into that because we're going to the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah. No, not even necessary. Why even bring it up?
Huh? For the joke.
Well, you know what was a joke? No members of the flock this week.
What?
I know. It's disappointing. Going into the playoffs, man.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. We'll just keep putting out podcasting gold, and for those of you who just listen for free and don't want to join the flock for a paltry $1 a month, I get that's too much to ask for. I hope you enjoy your free ride. It's probably fun.
And a free ride all through the off season too, because we're still going to be doing this in the off season.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no rest for the weary here. So that's fine. New members of the flock.
Where else are you even going to go for your Seahawks talk in the off season?
Right. I mean, it's it's totally worth it. Like when you forego sleep to do a little research for the pod as you're on the road and home for 3 days out of a total of a month. To make sure that the show keeps going, it's cool. It's cool not to have anybody else donate to the show when you put in that kind of dedication effort. So thanks. Yeah.
GetInTheFlock.com. Maybe I haven't said it enough. GetInTheFlock.com.
Yeah. And we even had an email, I believe, that said that we should promote the Ring of Honor page even more because they've had so much fun talking on the Ring of Honor page and the Facebook page.
That's right. That was Garrett from Northern Ontario hyping that up.
Yeah. So just saying, people that have donated have enjoyed it. It's been good for their 12dom.
Yeah.
So was that a pretty good job by me to be like disappointed but not mad at you?
Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
Okay. Because I didn't want to take it. I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed.
Huge thanks to the people that do donate to the show.
I know. They're amazing. And if we could just have more of you do it, then I wouldn't have to be on the road for 27 out of 30 days.
I think that's where the disappointment comes from. It's like Adam is so close to this being like just enough for him to pay his rent every month.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit. And then, my life would be way cooler.
All right. GetInTheFlock.com. You mentioned the one email from Garrett. We also got one from Russell in London. It says, sign Clint Gresham now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, when does it start to be beneficial to go for 2 rather than an extra point? The irony is we are equally rubbish from the 2-yard line.
That's a good point. Like so never probably, right?
I feels more like I feel like we would do worse going for 2 every time.
Yeah. No, that's not good because we throw a fade to curse And then we
get
run
stuffed in the backfield the second time. Yeah.
Yeah, on a draw.
Yeah. Russell from shotgun.
Yeah. And then on third down, run read option.
Well, there's no third down. It would just be, the third try for the next touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
You only get one try on the 2-point try. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, you're right. Just the one. Yeah. That's it. So, yeah, one play. Yeah, fade. And then next time around, a draw.
There you go. Great. Do better, Adam. Come on.
I'm sorry. I've only had... Doing this in the mornings is weird.
It's a little bit different.
It's hard for me to get on all cylinders here. There's only so much coffee,
Yeah, noon is kind of the sweet spot for you, right? No morning, no late in the night.
Yeah,
that afternoon, mid-afternoon.
It's the Goldilocks zone for me. Yeah.
What do you say we get into some do better and better at life?
All right, sounds good, man. I'm gonna kick us off on do better this week.
Do it.
My do better this week is for a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And while I give this person a do better, understand that I do get that this is not a representation of all Buckeye fans. This is one really bad one that just needs to be taken to task a little bit. For those of you that watched a little bit of it, the Clemson Tigers took on Ohio State in one of the college playoff football games, and they got shellacked. Just crushed. But their kicker, who's a first-year kicker and apparently a former soccer player, missed 2 field goals early in the game. And somebody took to Twitter here.
It's always taken to Twitter. It's always somebody on Twitter screwing things up for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, he took the email. I'm sorry.
Oh, he went long form.
Yeah, he went long form. So I'm going to read you a little bit here of what Mr. Trey Weissman had to say to this kid who's like a 21-year-old kid, maybe a 19-year-old kid who's a kicker. Yeah,
at least Trey put his name on it.
Oh, he did. He put a lot more on it. Starts with this, with the subject line being, "Please don't come back to Columbus." Says, "Please don't come back to Columbus. Stay in Arizona. Hell, maybe Clemson will take you in. The fact you transferred here to suck that bad actually hurts my soul. Thank Catfish Allah that you're a senior and can't harm our team anymore. If you can't kick, why did you even take a spot on our roster? Why did you take the responsibility if you can't kick at all? Trash. I really want to know if the rumors that you're taking money to shave points is true. How the catfish do you miss those field goals? You tried your hardest to blow the Michigan game. I prayed for you that we would win so you wouldn't be torn another one. But after today, I can't believe you aren't throwing these games. After you missed 2 catfish kicks, our team looked defeated. It was over. I hope you aren't getting a scholarship. If I found out my hard-earned money that I have to pay tuition with is going to pay for you to come here, I may get cancer. I hope you don't believe your parents saying they're proud of you for that trash performance. They just have to say that. They're embarrassed, just like the other 50 million proud Ohio State fans. Your parents wonder why you transferred here just to dishonor our name, just like we all wonder. Think of your poor dad having to go to work this week, and everyone will laugh at him. You've shamed your family forever. Thanks for nothing. You are an ass. Trey Weissman.
Holy smokes.
Fire from Trey Weissman, but he is the ass. How do you, we talked a little bit about booing in the last episode, right, Brandon? Like, when you're unhappy with your team, you should be able to express that in, some way. And you were like, I don't know, a boo might be a little harsh. No, that's where the line is. This guy, found the line.
That's over the line.
It's way over the line. He's way over the line. And to give credit to Eric Spiess, who gave me this catchphrase, this guy needs to learn how to boo better. He can't. You can't do this, man. You can't call out a kid like that and tell him that his performance is going to give you cancer.
That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. That's about as gnarly as it gets. He cussed out some kid because he missed 2 field goals. And I'll give you a little hint, Trey. He makes those 2 field goals, you just lose 37-6 instead of 37-0 or whatever the hell the score was. You got trampled. You had no chance. This has nothing to do with those kicks. Man, do better.
You know, if all that hadn't led up to the cancer blast, I would have thought that maybe it was like a parody type email, because that may have been the more humorous line in there, if not everything that preceded it. You know, saying somebody's so bad that you feel like you're going to get cancer.
Right.
That may be kind of funny.
Right.
Where he lost me, though, 50 million Ohio State fans? I mean, come on. That's
man.
like Jed York estimation there.
Maybe you have 50 million alumni ever.
No.
But
no, there's 300 million people in the U.S., Adam.
Well, they don't all have to. You're right. Some of them could be dead, too.
That's true.
From a long time ago. They've been around a long time.
But they're still fans somehow.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They probably grow a Buckeye tree out of their grave, you know?
Yeah.
It's still a fan. Isn't that what a Buckeye is? Isn't it a tree?
Yeah, well, it's a Buckeye is what, like isn't it the nut from a tree?
Yeah, this guy's the nut from that tree, man. Yeah. Trey Wiseman.
Good one. Well, my better at life this week is the Carolina Panthers. And Adam, you've hinted at this before. The Panthers are a team full of crybabies.
They are.
And how often do you hear NFL coaches and players use the term no excuses? You know, there's no excuse for how I played. You know, coaches preach accountability among their players, right? Apparently not the case in Carolina. The Panthers lost 17-16 to the Bucs on Sunday. And they were full of excuses after the game. And their go-to quote after the game was everything the Bucs did was Bush League. And I guess not necessarily the team. It wasn't the team that did it necessarily. They were crying about the dude running the video board at the stadium.
Wow.
It started with their kicker, Graham Gano, crying about how there was live video up on the screen during his field goal kicks. Here's his quote. He says, "You look out there, there's two sets of uprights you're looking at. I know the league talked to them about it before when we played here a couple years ago. So it's a bit Bush League. But once again, it's not a reason why I perform poorly. It just adds another element. If it's not the reason you played poorly, then why are you bringing it up, Graham?"
No kidding, man.
But so when the Bucs lined up for a field goal, this is what they pointed out, that the end zone video board showed the Bucs logo. So you mean to tell me that the home field team tries to get a home field advantage? That's really weird.
It is. Oh, no, not a logo on a screen.
I know. Versus actually live
humanity.
video. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
Oh.
And so what if there's two sets of uprights? You still have to kick it between the uprights.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an added benefit. Like, just aim for the field goal posts that are closer together. Maybe you'll be more accurate.
Well, here's the thing. You line up the field goal, and then you put your head down, and you stare at the point of the ball that you're kicking. Right. You're not even looking up when you're kicking.
Right.
It's stupid.
But apparently that wasn't the only quote-unquote Bush League thing that Carolina took issue with. After the game, Ron Rivera said that the coach of the Panthers, he said he didn't like the replays of Panthers linebacker Thomas Davis shoulder checking Bucs wideout Russell Shepard after a play where Jameis Winston had run outside the pocket. And so Thomas Davis, being a heads up linebacker, shoulder checked the dude to take him out of the play. And the Bucs, they played the replay, and fans got riled up as fans do. And Rivera took issue with this. He says, well, first of all, I think that's Bush League to show that play up on the screen. What are we trying to incite here? Let's don't do that. That's got no place in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. Thomas Davis did something that the guy scrambles around and he saw Jameis Winston break through. So at that point, you can eliminate receivers. I wish it didn't happen, but that's part of the game. But I really do mean that. I don't think you put that type of play up on the screen. I don't think that's right.
It's so weak, man. Like, this team is so weak mentally. It really is just it's unbelievable.
I know.
It really is.
You're complaining about replays getting the crowd fired up and what, booing at your team?
I'd fire that whole team
on the road. You're in Tampa. That's a division rival. Yes, they're going to get fired up.
Crybaby
catfish.
Yes, that's who they are.
The whole kicking thing is nonsense to me. He said that the team talked to the league a couple of years back. A Bucs fan pointed out those video boards are brand new this season. Apparently they had some crappy, super grainy video boards before. So, stop making excuses. Get your eyes checked if you can't tell the difference between real field goal posts and the goal posts on a television screen, and do better.
Oh, man. Do better for sure. That's some weak sauce stuff there, man. There's no doubt about it. Although, Can I change? I almost want to change my do better just because I got a team stream update here.
Ooh, team stream
on my
update.
phone.
Okay, breaking news.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer says Teddy Bridgewater still has no return timetable. Sam Bradford has quote unquote earned starting QB job for 2017.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Maybe he's just saying that so they can try to get him another first rounder for him. I don't know.
That's exactly what it is. You nailed it. That's not a do better. That's their coach being better at life for positioning himself to get a first round pick for Bradford.
I guess he watched what the Eagles did last year, and like they declared him their starter even though they didn't want him, and then they got a first round pick for him.
Yeah.
All right.
The Jags will probably send him a first round pick.
Yeah, probably.
It'll be like a top 5 pick.
Yeah, that would make sense.
On to Better at Life.
On to Better at Life. My Better at Life is fairly short today. My Better at Life this week is for Frank Clark. Because, I don't know, a few people noticed, I think, where Frank Clark took Jaron Reed to task on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very good thing for him to do. It's a very veteran thing for him to do. Because I don't know exactly what Reed did to get ejected. They never did quite show it. But he did something. And the thing is that going into the playoffs, you need guys with their minds right. You got to know that you can't do stuff like that because it jeopardizes the team. We need you, man. You can't be doing dumb catfish, knucklehead things and getting thrown out of a game. And Frank Clark made sure to let him know about it in no uncertain terms. Now, he said it, I don't know exactly what he said, but he said it in a way that it got his attention. Mm-hmm. We know that. And I think that's a player that's been in the league, 2 years looking at a rookie and being like, dude, you can't be doing something like that. That's called leadership. A lot of people will say that's, pulling a team apart or, you can't do that sort of thing. No, that's exactly what needed to be done there. If Cam Chancellor's not going to ream his butt for it, if Earl Thomas isn't there to ream his butt for it, then Frank Clark took up the mantle and as a fellow defensive lineman, got it done. I think it was well done. So Frank Clark, better at life than Skip Bayless.
And a veteran move too by Justin Britt getting in there after because it looked like things were getting a little tense and calmed it down too by stepping in there. So
exactly,
I think this team's going to be fine in terms of leadership going forward. You talk about guys going down like Earl Thomas. Oh, who's going to fill that leadership void? There's dudes.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. There will be other iterations of this team for sure, but we will be getting Earl back next year. So.
That's
you
true.
Don't have to worry about it.
Yes, he did tweet out after last game that he is for sure coming back.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah, well, not shocked. My Better at Life this week, giving some more love for Bobby Wagner, leading the NFL in tackles, also the franchise record for tackles, and Adam, he didn't just lead the NFL in tackles, he crushed the rest of the NFL. 167 tackles. The next guy behind him, Zach Brown of Buffalo, 149. 18. That's like 2 games worth ahead of the next dude.
That's a huge year, man.
That's a huge year. First Seahawks player to ever lead the league in tackles. Bobby Wagner getting it done this year. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the first time a Seahawk had ever done that. That's pretty cool. But hats off to him, man. Like, he definitely earned that new contract. There's no doubt about it. And coming off of what was kind of considered a down year for him the year before. So that was pretty cool to see. And getting the Pro Bowl nod and all that. You're right, man. Better at life than Skip Bayless. All right, man. What do you say we wrap this beast up? But I wanted to do it with one little stat for you guys out there so you have a little more confidence going into this game against the Lions. Last time the Detroit Lions have won a road playoff game, 1957.
Oh, before the NFL was even the NFL?
Yes.
Wow.
So yeah. So sleep well with that.
Well, with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Thanks again for tuning in to this week's show. Remember, you can go to seahawkerspodcast.com/support, and you can find all the things there that you can do to help support the show, whether it's buying a jersey, getting tickets to a game, all good things there.
All good things. And if you're doing it anyway, hook a brother up because Papa needs some solar panels.
Go to seahawkerspodcast.com/support, and thank you for helping to support the show.